After losses, guys, we do how do you divvy up the blame pie? Well, let's flip that on its head. In a come-from-behind snowy victory, how do you divvy up the credit pie for the Browns? Jason, you want to start us off?
Oh.
How do you divvy up that pie, Jason?
I give the players the bulk of the credit for that just because, I mean, they look like they had the game under control, right? Early fourth quarter, they were up 2 touchdowns, and it looks like you got the game in hand, and then the Steelers put Justin Fields in the game, and he runs it right down the field. I thought that was a great change-up by the Steelers. We could talk about Mike Tomlin.
Tomlin coached the worst game I've ever seen.
That was not his best hour last night. But I thought that was a really good use of Justin Fields in that moment. When you were trying to get the offense going, you're trying to run the ball, and Fields takes you down the field relatively quickly, and then they put Russ back in. So you go from you think you got the game in hand to suddenly you're trailing, and to then have to fight back and come back and win that game. You know, Jameis, they go 4-4 on fourth down. They were 1 of 10 on third down.
And their one was the last third down pass of the game.
And 4 of 4 on fourth down. I don't know that I've ever seen that. And 3 of the 4 fourth downs were runs. But the biggest was the Jameis throw to Jerry Jeudy in the fourth quarter, the fourth down completion. So I'm going to give the players the bulk of the credit for that because obviously that's a crazy environment to be in with the snow. And to think that you got the game at hand, then to fall behind and have to fight your way back and win it again, I give the players a lot of credit for that.
I say it's the ultimate team win. I mean, we know that it's a team sport. You win as a team and you lose as a team. Sometimes there's guys that really stand out in either one. You can say, wow, well, they won because of him. Who was it? Was it Ethan Pochich that touched the football on the intentional grounding?
Yeah.
It was Pochich, yes.
It was not intentional grounding.
It was not
illegal
intentional
touching.
grounding. But here's the beauty of that.
Yeah.
If that's intentional grounding, guys, the game is over.
Oh, probably.
Yes. The game is over.
Hey, real quick, last question. So we were on the postgame show when that happened, so we didn't have sound on. Yeah. If he doesn't touch it, is it intentional grounding?
Yes. It is intentional grounding if he does not touch the football.
No, I don't think that
Yes, it is. They talked about it on the telecast.
No.
They said the distinction was that he touched it.
No, I thought they said the distinction was that Jameis got hit as he threw the ball, so that's why it wasn't intentional grounding.
No, that's not what the way I heard it was they showed the tackle box.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter was, what stunned me was Tomlin's indecision on what to do. And ultimately, I think he made the wrong call.
Well,
now we can debate that until the cows come home.
I was talking to somebody on the Browns coaching staff about that after the game, and because the referee said twice decline.
I know he did. He changed his mind twice.
And then when the Browns lined up to go for it,
he said, "No, I'm taking it."
Tomlin started pointing.
Which, by the way, I don't think you should have the opportunity.
I agree with
you. You're asked, are you going to take it or not?
I asked about that, and I said, "Will they let you change your mind?" And one of the members of the coaching staff I was talking to said, "Yeah, they
clearly they did."
Yeah. And I said, "Well, like, how does that happen?" And you say, he said, "Well, you make something up. You like I misunderstood you. I didn't hear which is exactly what Tomlin said.
But you know what?
In his postgame
on Jeopardy, when you don't answer the question in the form of a question, you lose the game. They don't give you a redo. You know what I'm saying?
But
you guys know what I'm talking about?
But this is not new.
But here's what I'm saying.
But
the reason I say that is
they do go to the judges and say, judges, will we give them credit for that?
Occasionally. It's usually on the controversy of the answer. It's simple. It has to be formed it has to be used in the form of question. To me, what I think that it's okay. It's like line changes in hockey. You have the advantage when you get to dictate that, and as the other team, you have to then follow their lead.
It's easy to say he made the wrong call because this Browns got the first down. I think in that situation,
I'll get to that in a second. I'm just saying the process itself, I think, is flawed and needs to be fixed. In baseball, when a hitter is announced, he's the hitter.
Right, I got you.
And what they gave him the chance to do last night is to respond to the Browns responding to his decision not to take the penalty.
And I talked to people who felt like once the Steelers saw they were going to go for it anyway is when he changed his mind and said take the penalty.
And what I'm saying is you shouldn't have that luxury.
I agree with that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But that's one of those gray areas of the NFL.
Maybe it will be changed.
That until you snap it, you can change your mind on a penalty.
Bull, to your debating do you take the penalty or not, I'd love to know what the analytical chart says in that situation. Not that I would follow it. My gut was saying, oh, thank you. Thank you. We have 2 to get 7 instead of 1 to get 2.
No, it was 4th and 1 versus 3rd and 6.
Oh, I thought it was 4th and 2.
It was 2.
It was 4th and 2 versus 3rd and 7.
It was 4th and 2 versus 3rd and 7.
And the reason to me that is so big is because, now granted, they'd been perfect on 4th down up to that point, and they had not converted a 3rd down up to that point. That was their only 3rd down conversion of the entire night. But for me as a fan of the Browns, when he decided to take the penalty, I was doing backflips. Great. Give us 2 plays to get 7 yards. I like our chances. When you only have 1 play to get 2 yards, that changes everything. And I think that benefited us greatly. To my overall point, I think, the touch benefited us greatly. Jameis Winston, even though he threw the pick, which you're like, oh, there it is, at the worst possible time. Then the defense comes out, plays complimentary football, and leaves Pittsburgh on the field for what? A minute?
I couldn't believe that the Steelers went deep on that 3rd down
I couldn't
play.
either, Bull.
That made no sense.
That, to me, Mike Tomlin, that was the worst I've ever seen him coach a single game.
Well, attempting a 58-yard field goal in that weather made no sense.
No sense at all.
You know me on going for 4th downs, but if you're going to go for 4th downs, you can't just bring in Justin Fields every time on a 4th and 2.
I
that
agree
made
with
no
that.
sense.
Hey, listen, I'm not into giving. I don't care what the Steelers did. Good job for messing it up. You know how many times we done messed up? And gave a game
I agree with that.
But
they kicked the door down. We opened it and we kicked it down.
But I think that sometimes y'all got to give credit where credit is due. Sometimes you got to if you play well, like he throws for 400 yards or 300 against Baltimore, but well, Baltimore's defense is trash. And then you'd be like, well, he comes in and makes plays against Pittsburgh. Well, Mike Tomlin had his worst game ever. At some point in time...
No,
that's unfair.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm doing.
We're not discrediting Jameis.
But what I'm saying...
What does us saying Mike Tomlin did a bad job have to do with crediting or not crediting Jameis?
No, what I'm saying is sometimes, yes, those guys, it's the game of football. They're going to make mistakes.
I know, but we're just talking about it.
But what we do... Here's what I'm trying to say. We hammer the Browns when it comes to their mistakes. We eviscerate them.
Yeah.
So when they win, I'm going to give them credit, not say that the Pittsburgh Steelers.
But you can't ignore the other team's mistake.
Listen, I can. Y'all lost. I don't care what y'all did.
Listen,
part of the
I'm
game.
giving credit to the Browns. The Browns won this game. The Steelers didn't lose it. Let's be clear about that.
I thought that was so lame after the game when.
I did too.
Pickens
says they're not a good team. Whatever.
That's what I'm
saying. That they only won because of the weather is absurd.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for the bulletin board.
That was really stupid.
Let me finish my point about the team credit. Lost in the soup, I think, was the touching play. It was a 2-point conversion that the Browns stopped Pittsburgh on, and the 2-point conversion that the Browns were successful on with the communication device hanging in front of Jameis's face, and the incredible catch by David Njoku, who, by the way, that game last night was a microcosm of his career. He'll catch the impossible one. He'll drop the one that hits him in the hands.
The one he dropped was a total replay of the Saints game.
100%. A couple years ago.
Bad weather, hit him right in the hands.
Right in his hands, and he dropped
catches it. They win the game.
And then he catches the 2-point conversion. Well, I don't think that those 2 plays, our stop and our successful 2-point conversion, are talked about enough, and here's why. If either one of those go the other way, it's a 3-point game, and Pittsburgh doesn't need a touchdown at the end. They can tie it with a field goal. And that changes the way you do things.
Yeah, sure.
So I just think it was one of those wins where you can look. The offensive line played out of their minds. They gave him time to throw. So I just think all of the areas. Jerry Jeudy was up against their number 1 corner, Joey Porter Jr. He burns him for 85 yards on a snowy field. I just think everybody did their job. Everybody did their job. And it's nice to see that this was a team victory. And I thought the coaches were great. So for me, it's just like split it 55 ways. 1 to each of the players, and the coaching staff gets 1 too.
Gee, who do you get the most?
I'll take what Jay said. Man, it's an overall team win. Like, and you got to understand, like, we have jobs to talk about them and talk about the Browns, But there's literally people's jobs on the line. People got kids in school. Like, so these games for us, we like comment on them. But man, like Kevin Stefanski was like, man, I ain't trying to move my house. Like, yo, listen, I done you put 5 years in the building. You put 5 years, you didn't put a lot of bricks into this situation. These people hear this stuff. So when you got a game where nobody really cares, and by the way, it took them an uphill battle to even get the crowd back. Because the Steelers had taken over the whole. This was the typical game where you would see, especially Russell Wilson, and I thought Russell Wilson in the beginning was throwing strikes. I'm like, dang.
I think he hit on his first 11.
I said they done caught Russell Wilson when he done got hot. Their running game was working. And I'm looking around and saying, this is one of those games where we talked about it, the Browns come out, lose to the Steelers, and people get fired. But not only did that not happen, they got the crowd back on their side. They were able to execute in the snow. And listen, Dorsey had enough I guess, gumption to say, all right, James, throw the ball. Yeah. We're gonna fourth downs. He was aggressive. So I'm gonna give Kevin credit. I'm gonna give Andrew Berry a little credit because I'm always over him about your picks. You got saved by your picks last night. Jameis Winston, Jerry Jeudy saved you a little bit. I thought Maurice Hurst played well. I thought the defensive lineman up front, Shelby Harris, played well. So some of those guys, and shout out to Jordan Hicks. I thought he played well, in spots as well too. So I'm gonna give him credit to the team. I'm gonna give credit to the front office, credit to the coach, because I'm gonna tell you what, it's very rare that you get a game like that against the Steelers because those are the games the Browns usually lost. And now you got one against the Steelers and the Ravens. I can't complain about that, man.
I give the most credit, and as we turn the page, I know the next conversation's about Jameis. I'm giving the most credit to Jameis because the quarterback gets a lot of the blame when it goes bad. The quarterback gets a lot of credit when it goes well. He threw the bad pick, but besides that, I thought he played a tremendous game. If you just look at the stats, you miss what he did. Like if you just looked at the box score, you'd be like, what did Jameis do? He didn't do anything. But you missed it because they 100% lose that game if Deshaun Watson or DTR are playing. There's no way they win that game with either of those two quarterbacks. Jameis did a tremendous job, and that 2-yard run for the touchdown that he had on fourth down, we just talked about it yesterday. Jameis is one of the least mobile quarterbacks in the NFL. And I thought he was getting sacked on that play. He
feels pressure nicely, though, doesn't he?
He does 100%. He looked dead in the water on that play, and he knew he was going to take a hit. And he, in the snow, gets hit. He's like spinning around. It was almost like, Dustin mentioned this on the podcast this morning. He's right. It reminded me a little of that Josh McCown touchdown a few years back when he's spinning into the end zone. But I just thought Jameis played a real ballsy game last night. It was the first, he played great against two bad defenses. He struggled against a good defense. And I wanted to see how he'd do it against another good defense. The Steelers have one of the best defenses in the league. And he played a hell of a game in adverse conditions in that situation. So kudos to him.
One last crazy thing before you read. There were 16 points combined in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
There were 27 points scored combined in the fourth quarter.
Well,
and who wants a dome after last night's
game? I think everybody.
We're going to get to that.
Me?
Hold on. Don't.
Everybody.
Not me.